My story begins as one of there was no one to speak for me. I came into spaces where I was the one that needed to speak for myself. I learned from a young age, coming from two Somali refugees, that I needed to be the one that creates the change that I need to see that can continue a just and fair world for myself and my community. I've been an activist since I was 13 years old, which is not that long because I'm only 18. But I started at a very young age because at a very young age, I noticed that there was a need for young people in the fight. There was a need for people that had new ideas that would face the effects of injustice for generations. I joined this fight, barely speaking, broken English. And as I've grown and learned, I continue to realize that there is such an importance for us to speak up, for us to share, for us to continue dialogue. Going back to Sakshi, Sakshi's point is that, there is a desperation for a better world for us. There is a need for a better world. And the stake in our fight is that we are going to be on this planet, for hopefully a long time, and we want to ensure that we are a part of the fight. March for Our Lives takes an intergenerational approach to youth activism, ensuring that we learn from those who come before us, but also to ensure that the people that are the most impacted are centered in the fight. As the Equity and Inclusion Chair for March for Our Lives, I look towards creating an equitable and inclusionary method towards solving gun violence prevention. Going back to Tito's question, in a time of COVID-19, right? We mourn the deaths of so many people, as you guys may have heard of, including the death of Ahmed Arbery, right? We continue to see that COVID-19 does not come to the end of white supremacy, it does not come to the end of police brutality, and it does not come towards the violence that's facing African-American people in this country. So we continue to work towards that. And as Sakshi said, right, pandemics expose problems that we are aware of, right? But they exacerbate them and they make them known to the people that choose to ignore them and choose, and it goes to the people that also choose not to take action. We are in a time where we need to be there for each other. We need to create systems for each other. We need to create structures that are, taking a look at how are we serving the most disadvantaged, right? And the question of what inspires and motivates me, right? In 2018, after my organizing work, my mother told me that after 22 years in this country, it was her first time voting because she said that my work is what inspired her to also care about our communities, right? What inspires me is that the work that we do is not just for us. The work that we do has a ripple effect. It can continue to, encourage our friends, our neighbors, our family, our loved ones, but also strangers, right? As Sakshi and Jay can probably attest, they've inspired people to take action because of their words. They've inspired to take action because of their leadership. And that's what we need to continue doing, is motivating each other to continue fighting. Because to be honest, this work can be exhausting sometimes. And I'm a lively, vivacious 18-year-old, but sometimes that gets exhausting, and sometimes it becomes unfair for only one person to be doing the work when we can collectivize our work and when we can, build community around our work. How things have shifted since the pandemic has begun, it's a lot of digital organizing, right? It's a lot of being on your phone, as I'm already an expert for, but also really creating a way for people to continue interacting. It's a way for people to continue building a world that is interconnected as our social problems are, right? As we see one person facing access to education, one person facing access to healthcare, one person, facing gun violence, one person facing poverty, one facing food insecurity, right? We continue to discuss the ways in which we can build community around those problems so we can show up for one another, right? Because our problems are not separate and our problems we're not experiencing alone. So once we build community around activism, we can continue being stronger together.